Good evening, everybody. Welcome back to the Six Rings King Show on a new night, Monday night now, baby. We're really excited, actually, to have Eric McLean on the show here, college football analyst, co-host of The Huddle. Coach, yes! All right!
First touchdown of the year.
Miami Hurricanes, yeah. You know the name already. It's Mercy. Ha ha. It's a six-ring Kane show. Can't forget the name though. Got Jazz, Blue, Vision, DJ, break the game code. Ain't no changing them, ain't no breaking them. Real Portland live from the Hard Rock Stadium. Ball 14 for the orange and green. You see the six-ring champs. It's more than a dream. This is life on the field. Beyond 100 yards, a hurricane that's never still put a damage to your squad.
What's wrong with us? Seriously.
What's wrong with us? We're Miami Hurricanes fans.
Welcome to the Six Rings Kane Show, a show dedicated to Miami Hurricane sports, featuring the legendary Larry Bluestein, Jazz Santana, Vish, and Danny Gillette. Let's go Canes.
By the way, we promise everybody that in the next few weeks we should have a new intro because we got to get a couple of those. We got to get Coach Ponce off of it.
Once again, are you the one who has to build the intro? I feel like we got to ride with this and kick one off to start the next season.
All right, well, if you want to, that's fine.
But also, man, I fired all of our good bullets in that. Now I'm like, what are we just gonna be?
Well,
most of the show is just us sitting here like this going.
Well, listen, there's some people in our chat that may want to take on that role. I don't know. Not in our chat here, but in our private chat, they might want to take on getting some clips and doing something for us. But anyways,
God. let's not pick that scab. But when he asks for a timestamp, I'm definitely giving this one. But inside joke. No, but seriously,
shout out to my people at the Five Reasons.
Yeah, it's all in good fun. But I mean, like most of the clips are just us standing there talking. So I pulled all the interesting ones, like we had a guest, or like when I was waving the knife around. Like I don't have much left of most of the rest of it's just us talking.
We got to figure something out, but we'll do it. Blue will be joining us on the show in a little bit. So, as I'm sure everybody has heard already, if you haven't, you've been living under a rock and you need to wake the hell up. But obviously, the Miami Hurricanes are now officially looking for a new offensive coordinator and quarterbacks coach and wide receivers coach and whatever else they want to do. God knows what they're going to do. What's up, Blue?
Hey, what's up, guys? Shalom.
And also the 2023 Canes football schedule came out today, so we'll go over that as well a little bit. Actually, I kind of want to start off with that because, by the way, for everybody that saw my tweet, we told you we're gonna name the offensive coordinator for the Miami Hurricanes. He's gonna come out of one of our mouths today. That's
you do have quite the list there, but I still wouldn't guarantee, given the way Mario's operating.
You can never guarantee anything with Mario Cristobal, but chances are one of those guys might be the guy that we're gonna say. And listen, and I'm happy with all of them. So, but let's with most of them. Let's talk about the 2023 schedule first. Because I think it's an interesting one. We were talking a little bit about it off air before we got going here, and look.
Yeah, we usually don't get the breaking news right before our show, but this dropped like 10 minutes ago, 15 minutes ago. So
kind of cool. We play the fake Miami first, but here's a little bit of a rundown. Miami of Ohio, then we play Texas A&M. Bethune-Cookman after that. They would have been the Fighting Ed Reeds, man. That sucks. Temple.
I'm pretty sure they put that game on Thursday night because they were looking for filler and they were going to play up the Ed Reed coach against Miami angle, and that didn't work.
Nope, it didn't. But then you got followed up by at the end of September against Temple. The Fighting Manny Diaz's almost, and then you got Georgia Tech, and then you get into ACC play, but you've got a bye in between that, which I know Vish has something to say about that bye, but then you got
just real quick.
Run the gauntlet, right? You run the gauntlet after that.
Yeah, but real quick, Temple is our first road game, so the first three at home. That is actually at Temple.
Yep.
Which I know most people wouldn't expect. That is
I think-
that
I
is
think it's a
not
home
far
and home
from
with
me.
them. I think it's a home
Yeah,
and
who
home.
signs a home and home with Temple? Anyway, Blake James.
No kidding. Yeah, good job, Blake.
But that is close enough to be where I will be attending that.
Nice.
Anyway,
Yeah.
then
Then it's
by a
ACC
week-
play, right?
Yeah, that's ACC play.
Georgia Tech, North Carolina, Clemson, Virginia, NC State. You got a late in the season game against Florida State, which, by the way, I know some people are saying, wow, we played them so late. If you know, I mean, we typically play them towards the back end of the season when Miami and Florida State are usually, 8-1, 7-0, 9-0, whatever it is. So it's a big time matchup. We'll see how that works out for us this year. But then you've got Louisville after that, and you finish off at Boston College. So
at Danny Gillette.
At Danny Gillette Stadium, baby.
If it's not too cold, I might go see that game.
Yeah, the Canes are going to visit him for Thanksgiving. I mean, what more can you ask
Look
for?
at that. Come on, DJ.
I might get an NIL deal for myself if that's the case.
I want to hear from Vish first because, I think you got a bone to pick with the bye, where the bye lands. I get it, because then you run, like you said, you go eight or nine straight games against your ACC opponents, and that's tough, man. That's tough.
Yeah,
to
do. This isn't where you want your bye week. We got 4 out of conference games, and frankly, only one of them is. I know we lost to Middle Tennessee, but that's the past. These are 3 pretty much games you expect to win pretty easily, and then one that's a legitimate game. This is a waste of a bye week to have it after that stretch. Like, you haven't really been taxed yet. You're probably relatively healthy and fresh. And then to have that bye week and then play 8 conference games in consecutive weeks, there's no other gaps. It's
Right.
every weekend, with the BC game actually on a short week on Friday. That's a lot without having a bye week. You want that bye week in the middle of your conference play so you can kind of rest up in the middle of it. So that sucks. The other thing that sucks here is just it's front loaded with home games. If you look at this, 3 of the first 4 are we have 4 conference games at home. 3 of them are right here. So we have 1 more home game after the stretch, and you play these consecutive road games. 3 out of the last 4 on the road. So that's also not great from a balance. So it's not really well balanced. This is also, if everyone doesn't remember, the divisions are gone, so there's no more Coastal and Atlantic. This is just our pod.
Right.
So,
and the 3 teams that we'll play every year are right there. It's Florida State, Louisville, and Boston College.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep. Those 3.
So the last 3 games of the teams.
There's no division or anything, so it's just the
Right.
2 highest win percentage. So we're gonna have some wacky tiebreakers, I'm sure, as well.
Blue, how do you feel about the schedule, man?
Tough finish.
Yeah.
3 or 4 on the road.
And it's against a potentially a really good Florida State team, potentially really good Louisville team. If they've had a good year recruiting, so I think that, and NC State, they're always going to be tough, even though I think Devin Leary still there?
No, he's at Notre Dame.
He's gone. That's right. He's at Notre Dame now, right? So
yeah, but that's just a tough place to play.
Yeah.
No, always.
And you got these, just string these games together. It's like overall, it's almost like if you distribute the games differently, you could get a higher win total than one we're probably going to get.
Right.
Yeah. And even Danny Gillette Stadium hasn't been kind to them over the years.
If they can't beat this group of BC players, then I don't know what to tell you. I really don't.
Wow.
That should be a nice
stranger
end to the
things have
season.
happened, DJ.
I know.
Yeah.
But
I mean, look, just looking at this list, right off the bat, 11-1, 10-2 easily, right? ACC championship.
I mean, 12-0.
I'm not
right?
saying
who are we
anything
losing
after
to?
last
Who are we
year.
losing
You
to?
gotta be
Come on.
kidding me.
Who are we losing? Look, we all
People
know.
are still killing me after last year. I ain't saying a damn word.
Look, I think we can all agree offensive coordinator to be named later is going to light everyone up.
Oh,
And
yeah.
we're going to have no problems this year.
45 points a game guaranteed.
Easy. Not breaking a sweat.
Not even a joke.
Even without naming him, we already know that's going to happen. So.
Blue,
Don't even ask me, Jazz.
No, just just looking at the schedule, where do you think there's an opportunity just based off of the teams that we're playing? I know you said that the end of the schedule
End's gonna be tough.
It's going to be tough. Where can you see this team realistically, obviously based off of what's going on? It's hard to say too, because we don't know necessarily who the offensive coordinator is yet, right? So how that offense is going to work. The good news is that you've got those first three out of the first 4 games are kind of they're not by any means at this point in Miami Hurricanes football, nothing's a cupcake, nothing's easy.
Yeah.
But it's an opportunity to maybe potentially showcase a little bit more your offense in the hopes that it's a good one. I mean, how do you see this team doing against a schedule like this realistically, Blue?
Well, they should be 3-1 off the bat at the worst. Worst, they could, A&M. You never know. I mean, what's going to happen? They're still a good football team. They're bringing in a bunch of new guys, but last year I still remember Middle Tennessee State, Duke. Oh, we got these games wrapped, and not so much. So. I don't know. I would say right off the bat they could easily be 4-0, and that North Carolina Clemson little stretch is going to be tough too.
Yep.
I mean, and they should get Georgia Tech and they should get Virginia, and then you take a look. Like I said, the last 3 out of the last 4 are going to be tough. So it's a challenging schedule. I mean, I don't want to make anybody angry, but if they get 8 or 9 wins, I'd be elated. I mean,
I think that most realistic Canes fans are probably thinking the same thing. If we can go 8-4, 9-3,
where are they?
It does
right here, lined up right here. I think that's about it.
It does feel like 5-3 in ACC play is a ceiling, like a best case, because you're not gonna just run off wins against. To Blue's point, you might pull off some upsets here and win some, or not even upsets, win some of these games against legitimately good teams like, Florida State, NC State, Clemson, and North Carolina. But you're not going to win all of those.
Right.
So, even if they win, if they go 1-1 against at North Carolina and Clemson, that's pretty good, right, overall. But that's still 1-1. So it's hard. It's hard to see this. Blue called out the 2 games that it'd be really disappointing if you lost to Georgia Tech or Virginia at home. Other than that, there's a lot of coin flips here. If you can get to 5-3, unfortunately, I hate to say it, that's not bad.
Yeah,
it's not. But you're only telling the truth, Vish. I mean, it's especially if we learned anything from last year, it's just no matter how well they've recruited, no matter who they bring in. I think the people around the country always fail to realize, just like all those Colorado fans, they failed to realize that USC and UCLA and Oregon and Stanford and Washington aren't stop recruiting just because Deion's there. I mean, and that's the way. Miami's doing what they can and they got a great class, but none of these other programs are stop recruiting. So it's they're all going to be challenging. I mean, you come off a year like this past year where, I mean, Middle Tennessee State sucked. I mean, there's no doubt about it. You look how they finished, you look who they played and who they got beat by, and Miami just they just got to play good football. That's all, and I think if you get better play calling, in which they should, I mean, it can't get any worse. Well, I shouldn't say that, but I mean,
I feel like we've been saying that for 20 years. It keeps getting worse.
I know.
Everything keeps getting worse.
It definitely can, honestly speaking.
Oh man.
4 wins. That's how it gets worse.
No. Stop it. You can't put that out there. You can't put that out there.
I mean, look, I just said, I think 4 or 5 conference wins, and then out of conferences.
Yeah.
It should be 3-1 at worst, as Blue said. So
well, Virginia, Georgia Tech, and Boston College, those are 3 wins right there, I think. And then you go from there. Do they beat North Carolina, NC State on the road?
It's tough.
It feels like 7 to 9 wins overall is probably about right.
You know what? But there's people at home cursing you out now, just like they did last year when you said 10-2.
Ain't that the truth?
Oh, we're not losing at all. Are you kidding me?
All I said last year was I'm not going to assume we're going to lose games we shouldn't. And we lost a lot of – it turns out we didn't lose games we shouldn't. We were just worse than everyone on the schedule.
Yeah. That's
I think at some point
maybe they weren't upset.
Yeah, they weren't actually upsets. We were just much worse than I thought.
Look at so David Everett posts here. I have been a Canes fan for more than 45 years now, guys. Where is your faith at? Oh man. No. Listen. Look, here's what I will say about the schedule. Right. Yeah, and I get that, Gary and Dave. 9-3 at best, but we'll lose to a team for sure. We'll lose to a team
I think he's probably
that's
saying
a
lose to a
sure
game.
win.
Yeah, like
Yeah,
lose to a team they shouldn't, basically.
gotcha. And Ben says 8 wins. Should have fans banging pots and pans
Oh,
on
yeah.
guys.
No, I think 10 is pots and pans. 8's fine. You can't bring out the pots and pans for single digits.
No, you can't. You
You gotta
do
get
that.
10.
You gotta get 10 for
ACC
pots and
Coach
pans.
of the Year, he wins 8 games.
Wow, that's
I
crazy.
don't.
Right?
I don't think so.
Nah,
Not in Miami.
Here's what I will say, right? Like, and I'm just playing the other side, right? The Crazy Canes fan, right? The Crazy Canes fan may say, well, hey, maybe these teams that are supposed to be really good, your Clemson and Florida State, and maybe some of these other teams are god awful, right? And they you never know, right? So that's the other side. Is, oh well, hey, then maybe we can we can steal a couple of those games and go 9-3, 10-2. But I think that realistically, I think that David has a good one. I think 9-3 at best is I think potentially the ceiling on this team, and it's not. I don't know if it's necessarily from a talent standpoint because they, based off of what they've done in recruiting and in the transfer portal, they've brought in a lot of good talent, especially on the offensive line, which is a position where they struggled a lot at last year. You could definitely see, them being better. And that's what you want. You want to see progression. You want to see them get better. You want to see them, do things a little different. And I think that we really just kind of have to wait and see what happens. There's a long way to go before that starts too.
Yeah,
so.
I think the challenge though is kind of the things we laid out. The bye week is early. You're just playing 8 conference games in a row.
That's going to be grueling no matter what. I think for anybody.
And the Clemson, North Carolina back to back, 3 out of last 4 on the road. There's just losses are going to fall out of that. And so then you start piling up the field, and like you said, that's where you get the 9-3 ceiling.
Yeah. I got you.
I will say that A&M game at home is the one out of conference where we're like, that I know Middle Tennessee State, but pretending that never happened, like you expect to win the other 3, right? That is, you get an easy game to start with, then you can prepare for that, and you don't really have anything after it for several weeks. Like that is one you got to win, just from a standpoint of we spent a lot of this time talking about how North Carolina and then immediately Clemson's tough to win both in a row. This is kind of the opposite. That's one game in like an oasis of easy ones. So that one is one you'd like to think.
You got to get started. You got to get started the right way this time around because if you don't, you're gonna. I mean, I could see it.
It really did fall apart in that game last year.
Yeah,
like that was a game that we dominated and didn't get the result, and then didn't show for Middle Tennessee State, and it spiraled out of control from there.
I think we'll probably be talking a lot more about what's it going to take to not fall apart and to not spiral execution wise and all that as soon as we start hearing some names, which we are going to put out there now.
Look at this professional transition from Mr. Santana over here.
The segue was just chef's kiss. Offensive coordinator. We're gonna name him here, Blue. We're calling it. We're calling it. Anybody who's watching us now is gonna hear who the next offensive coordinator for the Miami Hurricanes is gonna be, from one of our mouths.
So are these our let's just say prize picks for offensive coordinator?
These are. Ooh, I see what you did there.
Yes,
let's talk about everything. Yeah, but before we get to our offensive coordinators, let's talk about prize picks. Real quick, we'll get to prize picks here. By the way, Blue, I like your shirt, man. Florida versus Georgia. That's a sweet shirt. I like it, man. Prizepicks.com. Make sure you check them out. Once you log in and sign up, you're put in the code 5 FIVE, and they'll match your deposit up to $100. It's real simple. Here's how it works. Pick anywhere between 2 to 5 players. You can mix and match players from different sports, different positions, different everything, right? You can do that. What you're going to do is you're going to pick between 2 and 5 players, choose the over under on their individual categories. So for instance, Super Bowl's coming up. You want to choose, maybe Pat Mahomes. I'm not sure what the starting line is on his passing yards, but maybe his passing yards are 270 yards. Do you go over under? Choose the over under, whether you're going to go over on 270 or under on 270. Real simple. Make sure you go to prizepicks.com. Check them out. It all depends on how much money you want to win, is how many players you pick and how much, obviously, money you deposit there. They will match your deposit up to $100 with the code word 5 FIVE if you log in and put in that code. They'll match that up to $100. Make sure you check them out. PrizePicks.com. Here are your offensive coordinators. We're gonna go down the list on a couple of these guys, and I want to get. We'll go. Not everybody will get everybody's here. We'll be here all night, but let's talk about first the biggest name that we keep hearing out there. I think actually there's a couple of them, right? But let's go with the biggest name that we keep hearing out there that has legs or whatnot. And I want to get your take. I actually want to start off with DJ on this one because he knows this guy very well. He's covered him for a few years now, and it's obviously Scott Frost over at Nebraska. A lot of fans love what he could bring as an offensive coordinator. He is obviously an option. He potentially has some whatever they've been talking about him a lot in Coral Gables. Let's just put it that way. Scott Frost, talk to me a little bit about him, DJ. What do you like about his offense?
Scott Frost's offense utilizes running quarterbacks, and I think that could be helpful for a player like, let's just say, for example, Jakari Brown. With the Scott Frost offense, you'll see a lot of, running quarterbacks, a lot of mobile quarterbacks, and, he does have plays where the quarterbacks are inside the pocket, but he likes to have quarterbacks be a dual threat type of athlete. I think that fits well in today's modern game of college football, especially as defenses kind of become more scarce. But I think his creativity and his ability to kind of formulate plays with a running quarterback and building a system around a running quarterback could definitely help Miami in terms of, explosiveness and play design and creativity. And that's something that, quite frankly, they were missing from Josh Gattis at times last year. I think as an offensive coordinator, I think he would be a good fit. I question whether or not he is mentally ready.
I like the way you put that. Here's what I like about Scott Frost is his obviously he runs like a power. It's a power spread offense, right? So like you said, he does like to use the quarterback a lot on those read options where he likes to get them out of the pocket. But I also like the fact that he will take shots down the field as well with his quarterbacks. So you need some speedy wide receivers that can get out there and run those those sluggo routes, those 9 routes just to go. And be able to throw the ball out there. So I do like that about his offense. He does utilize his running backs as well, but he runs his offense like he used to be a quarterback, and we all know how good he
Correct.
was. How good he was until he ran into the buzzsaw in 2000. In 2000. But anyways, Blue, I want to kind of get your take a little bit on, since we got a lot of guys. I want to get your take on Marcus Arroyo. Obviously, he has some experience coaching with Mario in the past at Oregon. He was his offensive coordinator for 2 Pac-12 championships. I think he didn't coach in the Rose Bowl because he already took the job at UNLV. But from what I understand, I don't know offenses like others would. Okay, talk to me a little bit about what you like from. And look, he coached at your alma mater, man. So you got to know a little bit about Coach Arroyo, right? Talk to me a little bit about what you like about his offense and could it work here in Miami as well.
I don't think they gave him, a shot. I mean, they gave him 2 years plus the pandemic year. I mean, and I follow, obviously, and I have a lot of people out there that I talk to all the time, and I think he's really good. I think he's innovative. He's a hardworking guy. He's, you take a look at what he did last year, and obviously they underachieved. They didn't score a lot of points. It's just personnel. They weren't getting the kids but he started to at the end. I think he'd be fine. You see, when you look at Scott Frost, remember Jeff Lebby was his offensive coordinator when he was at UCF, and Jeff Lebby ran a lot of what Art Briles ran, that veer and that speed up type offense where the tight ends took center stage, both as blockers as receivers. And I think, not to skip back to what DJ said, but I think that in Scott Frost, because he likes that type of offense. I mean, I think the fans will get a little upset because, it's more of a run offense. I don't think Tyler Van Dyke is suited for that offense. But I think in Arroyo's scheme of things, he likes to open it up a little bit. You go back to the Oregon offense where they threw quite a bit. I mean, they had big time speed. They used the backs out of the backfield. I like him. I think he'd be a really, really good choice. I don't think he's in a hurry to take another head coaching job, so he'll be here for a while. And like you said, he already knows the drill. It's funny because I was talking to some coaches about that very thing. Coaching for Mario Cristobal is not easy. I mean, it's like coaching for, Shiano. It's like coaching for Nick Saban. It's 4:35 in the morning, 12 midnight type of days. And and not everybody's up for that, but I think he'd be perfect.
And I think what works well, because you saw what happened this year, right? There was obviously issues where people were bumping heads. It's out there. It is what it is, especially on the offensive side of the football. With Arroyo, you have that gel, right, with Coach Cristobal already because of his experiences, his past experience with him. But I think that this is a guy that Mario trusts. Right, it's not only about his play calling and how, like you mentioned, how innovative he is.
Yeah,
he's good, but he trusts him. So whereas
but he's also a West Coast guy. So he went to San Jose State. I mean,
right.
Let's see. It's not, they don't always translate well on the East Coast, West Coast guys. So
right.
But I just think what you just said is a huge factor. In the fact that trust level. I don't know if he and Gattis ever really were on the same page, because how much did he really know of him? Right. He just knew he was a Broyles Award winner and the guy had a really good offense at Michigan. But I don't know if he knew a whole lot about him, like you just said, Jazz. You got to trust people coming in your building. And I think that, for the rest of the staff, they're all on the same page. Charlie Strong type guy. I mean, they're all, they all understand the assignment, and whatever it is, it is. I just think that the one thing about whoever they get, they just got to come in and utilize this offense, and then not be. I just think the thing about Gattis, he just never took the bull by the horns, and he never asked for help. And I thought that was his downfall. You had Frank Ponce, who's and Frank's going to show, over the next couple of years, at App State. He'll stay there. He'll wait till the coach leaves. He'll get the head job. And but Miami needs to go after a dynamic guy. And I think Arroyo, Frost, a couple of the other guys that I heard are pretty good. I mean, when, just get a guy in here who's going to be innovative and not afraid to, to ask for help or, include your position coaches, and not just think everything. And that's my point.
Here's what I'm going to go to you on this, Vish. It's funny because I was going to mention him right now, Ben. I'm going to go to you on this one because talk about, innovative. He had some really great offenses, and he's probably as elite as it comes when it comes to coaching the offense, right? Being an offensive coordinator. And that's Dan Mullen, right? A lot of people really love Dan Mullen, the way he coaches. And that's it, right? Like there's a lot of people that just don't like his attitude, his personality, but he's one hell of a coach when it comes to offensive coordinator. Vish, just based off of his scheme, the way that he runs the offense, how elite he is in that aspect, how could that translate to Miami coming in and being successful in the offensive side of the ball with a guy like Coach Mullen? Plus, he's a quarterback's coach, right? So none of this offensive coordinator / wide receiver guy. Now we're talking about an OC quarterback, which a lot of people prefer because you can go and get a wide receiver coach.
Yeah, and I think he he's shown adaptability to different styles of quarterbacks, which is, Blue and DJ touched on this, like Van Dyke and Brown are radically different quarterbacks. This quarterback room is not fit into one type, so you need someone that can kind of adapt.
And then everybody's like right in between.
Yeah, and if you look at Urban Meyer's 2 championships that you have, one was with Chris Leak, one was with Tebow.
Right.
They're not even close to the same kind of quarterbacks. You're seeing that ability to Mullen's wife's got to keep his hands off the pitch. can't be having that on campus.
No, we can't do that. Nope.
Nope. She's gotta keep her off campus. But so there's that. I guess my concern with him, and it extends to Frost as well, is to me these are not coordinators. These are head coaches. They've been very successful as head coaches at certain schools, and got fired from their last job, and they went to kind of the highest of high levels. Because Mullen was a successful coach at Mississippi State for a long time. But to me, it's such a humbling thing to then I'm going to go be an offensive coordinator. I do worry a little bit about running into some of the issues we had last year with Gattis being pig-headed and saying, I came from Michigan. I was the Burroughs Award winner. I know what I'm doing. And I do worry that Frost or Mullen might not anything nefarious. I mean, if I had Mullen's resume, I'd be like, I'm not going to go be offensive coordinator. I'm going to be a head coach somewhere. What are you kidding me? So to me, it's hard. Where someone like Arroyo or Jeff Scott or some of these guys that kind of failed at their first head coaching stop, not at a big school, to me, it's a lot easier to transition back to a coordinator. When you look at Scott Frost, like undefeated at UCF, right? BCS bowls, and now he's going to be the offensive coordinator at Miami. That feels like such a step down. I don't know where their heads are at, but that does concern me a little bit. That certainly, if I'm them, I'm thinking I'm a head coach. This is beneath me a little bit, and if I have to take this, I'm certainly going to come to it with an attitude that might not be conducive to trying to, frankly, address some of the staff chemistry issues we had last year. Because clearly, the whole thing was disjointed.
Well, when you say that, I kind of think, and I know this is crazy to think about guys that have coached in Alabama, but I got like Bill O'Brien, right, who obviously was a head coach at a couple different places in the pros and in college football. Came down, was pretty good offensive coordinator for Alabama, and now obviously he's gone, he's moved on also, but there's a possibility that it could be something like that instead.
Oh yeah, no, it's not disqualifying. Yeah. It's my concern there. Like so, I would, if
it's Mullen a valid concern too.
Yeah, no, if Mullen wants to come here, sign me up. Like I think he's excellent, as he's been an excellent play caller for a long time. I have no concerns with that. I wouldn't want to be the head coach, obviously, after he flopped at Florida, but I'd certainly take him as an offensive coordinator. I just worry that he's gonna, if you're asking me, like, because on paper he's the home run. I think he knows the state really well. He's shown that adaptability, which I think is so important. I see a lot of stuff in the chat about the style and all that. He just gets the job done. He's had so many different styles of quarterbacks and done well with all of them. So I think he's, in terms of just the guy that would, kind of work regardless of the players we have here. I think he fits that. I do worry a little bit that if he's here, it's only for like a year or something. Like look at Will Muschamp, right? He was way worse at Florida than Mullen was. He immediately got the South Carolina job. I don't see how he would have to come all the way down to Miami offensive coordinator after having been a successful head coach in the SEC for several years. It seems like a pretty big step down.
I do think that Frost would have to kind of work his way back up to kind of build his resume in order to be a head coach again because of how his stint at Nebraska went. So I don't know if he's necessarily in a position where he can certainly say that it's beneath him and feel like it's beneath him, but I don't know if he's in a position to be that picky. So
right. You don't think? I mean, a good point though. But you don't think someone that kind of turned UCF into that power for a few years is capable of getting another job of that stature right now?
I think he is capable, but I think what happens is because of what happened at Nebraska, I think a lot more people are going to be a little more hesitant about doing it first, and he like DJ said, you have to build it up a little bit again so he can gain that trust to lead, a program. I think
people remember what he did at UCF, but people also remember how much hype there was when he went to Nebraska and he came in and completely, quite frankly, fell flat on his face. So I think he's going to just have to maybe work his way up, and maybe Miami would be a stepping stone, but I could also see where you would want a long-term coordinator to kind of help this offense. I don't know. It's an interesting.
Well, the other challenge we have is there's 0% chance you come here as a coordinator and ascend to the head coaching position. So because there are other schools where like this guy's going to go to the pros or whatever. So if I can do well as a coordinator, I'll get the big job. That ain't happening here. So it's all got to be use this to get a platform somewhere else.
Right. I think this is interesting. I'm not going to ask this to Vish, but Gary, Gary brings out a good point, because I think some people still want to see him back here in Miami. But if you pair him with a guy like Mullins, who isn't necessarily the greatest at recruiting, at least that's the knock on him per se, the perceived knock on him, that he's not great at recruiting. If you pair him with a guy like James Coley as your wide receiver coach or co-offensive coordinator as a title, Blue, do you see something like that working, right? Where you pair Mullen with Coley, because he's such an elite recruiter in that aspect.
I kind of agree with Vish. I mean, to me, look at Bobby Petrino, took a job at Missouri State. So as long as the head coaching job, and you get your foot back in the door, if that's what he wants. Maybe he's just like you said. There's guys like Randy Shannon and Cam Cameron that are not good head coaches, but they're good coordinators. I mean, and then maybe he may fall into that, realm, because he had a lot of people. He had no pressure at UCF. He really didn't have any pressure. They came in. They were awful when he got there. O'Brien, what's his name? I can't think of his name.
Yeah, the blonde guy.
Was it the blonde guy? Georgia Tech.
Yeah.
Whatever. He didn't do such a great
George O'Leary.
Yeah. He didn't. See, he left a program kind of in shambles. So it was a kind of a no pressure job for him. He comes in here. Whoever comes in here as offensive coordinator is gonna have a lot of pressure on him. I mean, because you just fell flat on your face, and the whole fan base hates you, and it's going to be tough. So if he's ready for that, so be it. He's still got to understand that this is a building process. Miami's not going to be mentioned as a team. I mean, they're probably 25,000 to 1 to win it all still, because they just don't have the pieces that it takes. So he comes in here, there's going to be a lot of scrutiny on him. And because, by next year at this time, we'd be sitting here and 10 wins won't be an option. Right. Really. I mean, it won't be an option. So
Okay, but what are your thoughts on maybe like a guy like Dan Mullen pairing up with a guy like James Coley, because of the recruiting aspect of it all, right? And bringing a guy like
could be
James
a little
Coley
bit of
back.
friction, I think.
You think so?
Yeah, it could be a little bit of friction, because like you just mentioned, here's Coley, who was an OC, and you got Mullen, who was a head coach, and there's it's somebody like Charlie Strong. He's at the position in his life that it doesn't faze him that he was a head coach at 3, 2 Power 5 and 1, USF program. And he's fine with what he's got now. He's making good money. He's in a situation where, they're building at the position where he coaches. And you see, the whole thing is he has, with Steele, he gives input. See, and that's the thing. So whoever comes in, and you go down to the final 1 or 2 people that are in. I just think that you need to have your position coaches in on that final interview.
So you think maybe you got hire an offensive coordinator and have him pick his position guys?
Well, so you don't want to empty out because I know there's a lot of people have loyalty. Obviously, the offensive line coach ain't going nowhere.
I mean, it's
the positions that need to be filled out, maybe like a tight end coach, even a tight end
or running backs coach. I don't think Kevin Smith's going anywhere either.
Yeah, I don't think so either. he got.
I mean, there's 3 positions open, right? It's wide receiver,
tight end, wide receiver, and OC. Yeah, I mean, quarterbacks coach, wide receiver and OC.
I was about to say,
Fields gets his one guy every 4 years, and he's
good.
I was about to say, what happened there?
He got one of the best this year. He got two. Let me tell you, I know I'm kind of digressing here. I'm excited to see Jackson Carver play too.
Yeah,
not only Riley Williams, but
Riley Williams is the guy. I got a chance to watch him up close.
He's a big boy. You mentioned him briefly, Vish, and I kind of wanted to go back to him before we end on a couple other guys. But Jeff Scott. Jeff Scott is an intriguing name to me. I think he's an exciting name for a lot of people that know college football. I mean, he was the architect of that Clemson offense. With Deshaun Watson and I think he might have been there with Taj Boyd too, if I'm not mistaken. I know he recruited Sammy Watkins and DeAndre Hopkins, and now you're talking about coaching Deshaun Watson and why am I drawing a blank on the other quarterback that was there?
Trevor Lawrence.
Trevor Lawrence. Jesus, my goodness.
I was gonna say that, but I
yeah.
was like, "There's no way."
It's like, there's no way, man.
Yeah,
No
not
way,
Kevin,
man.
definitely not
No
Kevin
way,
Bryant.
Jazz is whiffing on Trevor Lawrence.
I know, right?
This is what we get for not having like show notes and a rundown like
Yeah,
professional
whatever.
shows where you got like everything, so we're not like Googling stuff on the side, which everyone can see us doing because
Yeah,
we
right.
forget like.
We could get Waffle House as a sponsor. It'll keep a constant reminder.
Oh man, that would be pretty awesome. Yeah, so he's coached guys like that. Obviously, other big time wide receivers. He's done great in recruiting. He was down here in South Florida, coaching University of South Florida for a little bit. He's
Good dude.
He's a hell of an offensive mind, right? Like, what are your
and think about
what are your
this?
thoughts on
Look
that
at
guy?
where he was all those years when his dad was coaching at FSU. He was like he was the young kid coming up and got to be in that. You know, when FSU was doing pretty damn good, and his dad was there, and Bobby Bowden and Lilly and all those coaches. So he learned from a lot of good people. He's always been, he's a very good student of the game, and he liked Florida, and he always recruited well in Florida when he was at Clemson.
Right.
You know, he got some good kids. He got C.J. Spiller that one year to come up, and yeah, they've done pretty well. I like him. I mean, I like him as a person. I know him, and I spent a lot of time when he was at USF. I've had him on my show a couple of times, and I thought last year, unfortunately, he assembled a pretty damn good staff at USF. It's just that they didn't get the players.
Yeah, I think his type of offense would be great here in Miami.
Yeah,
I really do. Okay, so one more guy, and then we'll finish off with a couple names, and we'll hear if you guys say yes or no to him. But Kevin Johns is a name that we've been hearing recently. Also, I think he's a really intriguing name. Vish, can you kind of give me just some info, a little bit of rundown on Kevin Johns? Because I think that's Alabama. I think interviewed him, or is interviewing him, or is going to. That's a really intriguing name. Talk to me about Kevin Johns.
Yeah, for those if the name isn't familiar, he's Duke's offensive coordinator. So
Right.
we saw him in action, kind of coach circles around our defense a little bit. That was one of those games where I think raw talent-wise, you're looking at like athleticism and players on the field that looked like we had an advantage, but it didn't show up, largely because of his game planning. He's obviously very good at getting the quarterback. You know, I think he's the right mix of the quarterback is mobile and part of the offense running, but it's not that many designed runs. It's more, designed scrambles, so to speak. It's not a lot of, option. It's a lot more of, giving him the option to run in terms of scrambling and just making plays with his feet, which he did quite a bit against us. So that's where I think most of us are familiar with him. He was at Memphis before that. So that he was there for 3 years, did a good job there.
Yeah.
So he
had Brady White, who was a really good quarterback there. So
yeah, so he develops the quarterback really well. Because none of these guys are high level, like top elite.
Wasn't he coaching? He was the OC under Norvell, right?
Yes.
Yeah. And none of these guys are what you would consider, elite quarterback recruits, but he's able to get the most out of them. So if you're looking at someone to like develop talent, which I think, as much as we focused on recruiters, we really need some talent development guys too. And I think he definitely hits that. To your point, though, we really you mentioned earlier Bill O'Brien, like Alabama's looking for an offensive coordinator too. So we got some competition out there.
Yeah, we do.
So we'll see how that works. But
well,
we are.
Also, the thing about Johns, he's had an opportunity to coach in the Big Ten at Indiana. He was at Texas Tech. So he's got a variety of places, especially with Texas Tech, where they always open up the offense. So I think that's a pretty good calling card there. But like Vish just said, the guy just got to Duke, So, he just got the offensive coordinator job. And Alabama would be, I think, a great landing spot for him because it's just the offense. But hey, listen, whatever happens, but yeah, I would endorse him. But you brought up a couple of good guys that would be a fit. He would be another good fit. Smart guy, he's got experience, worked on a lot of good people.
No, another ACC guy that you hear his name out there because of what he's been able to do at Wake Forest is Warren Ruggiero as well, who's another big time offensive coordinator. He puts up the numbers with a team like he was able to develop a guy like Sam Hartman as well. That was huge what he was able to do, or what he is doing at Wake Forest. I think that's a name that we should probably look at. Another one is this was. I'm going to end with this one, and then we'll kind of give our thoughts on who we think. We'll kind of give a prediction. Who do you want to be the OC? Luttrell. I believe it's Seth Luttrell, who is the head coach at North Texas. A lot of people love the offense that he runs. If anybody can, I don't know much about Luttrell. I know the name, but maybe someone can kind of talk. I don't know, Blue, if you know a little bit, DJ, if you guys know a little bit about Coach Luttrell over at North Texas. Obviously, he's not the coach there right now, so he might be an opportunity to get him in here at a big, Power 5 school, being the offensive coordinator, work his way into a head coaching gig again, potentially.
Yeah. Well, I know that he worked under Mike Leach, which, already tells you volumes as far as, the way he is and what he looked, what type of coach he is, and also worked under Larry Fedora.
Another great offensive mind.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So you got to look at lineage too. Remember, I believe that he was at Arizona for a minute or two. I don't know if Rich Rodriguez was there, but he's worked with some pretty good guys. And like you said, at North Texas State, I mean, he had a team that was like, they had a team that was 1-11. He helped to turn that thing around, in a couple of years. But just the fact, like I said, just the fact that he had an opportunity to coach, with a mind, at Texas Tech, like Leach, who's a wide open type of guy, and then a guy that could rub off on you in a second. So I look at where the lineage is, guys, where he's come up to, not, you got to look who rubbed off on him a little bit. And no, I like Luttrell a lot. I mean, I followed him for a number of years. I believe he's at Kansas as well. So it's, I like him.
I think he's a good. Ben, North Texas finished top 30 in points per game, rushing yardage, and passing yardage per game. That is pretty elite, actually.
Yeah.
Come to think about it, because that means that your offense is pretty balanced, and you can kind of do a lot with both the running game and the passing game. So I like him. I think that you never know, that could be a name to watch out for. Another name to watch out for, T. Martin, I think is an intriguing pick because he's in the NFL now. He's a wide receivers coach for the Baltimore Ravens. However, he has had some success in the college ranks, being the offensive coordinator at USC, also at Tennessee. He's done some great recruiting, right? I think he was voted recruiter.
Great recruiter.
2016. I know it's been a while, but that's the kind of guy that could come back into the college ranks and be a pretty good offensive coordinator as well. He knows how to coach. The only thing is he's a wide receiver coach too. So now you're talking about OC wide receiver coach again, right?
Which I don't think inherently is a problem.
No, it's not. I think we all have that that stigma because of Gattis.
But. Yeah, and I think T. Martin has a similar value prop to what Gattis's was, which again, we know what happened there, but getting the offensive coordinator off a team in the playoffs that just won assistant coach of the year in college football was on paper a good hire. Now it didn't work for many reasons, but I think T. Martin's value prop is similar. He's been, except probably a longer track record of success at more than one school, but you mentioned USC and Tennessee. Those are two huge programs.
Yeah,
he's successfully been a coordinator at.
He was a quarterback too, and he was a passing game coordinator.
And he won a national title,
national championship.
Yeah.
I wonder how many people that aren't old like us think Peyton Manning won that
title, right?
The 90s instead of T. Martin. It was T. Martin. Peyton Manning didn't win a damn thing. It was T. Martin that won it.
There is one thing going for him, that if he wants to be close to family, it'd be the perfect spot, right? His son, Caden Martin, is probably going to be a starting guy for the Miami Hurricanes baseball program. He's that good. The kid's a stud. He was a quarterback too. Believe it or not. I think he was a 4-star quarterback, if I'm not mistaken, but he was that much better in baseball. So he's going to come in and he's going to play for the Miami Hurricanes on the baseball side of things. So an opportunity to be with his son down here in Miami, who's going to be here at least 3 years. Playing ball for the Canes on that baseball team, as I think he's an outfielder / pitcher. I think he
can run.
Well. he definitely can run. He can swing the stick. He's a big lefty. He's 6'4". He's a big kid. I think he's 6'4", 6'3", something like that.
Not like Rocker's kid, but that's
well,
That kid's a mammoth guy.
I mean, I will say I don't think having a son that randomly plays on the baseball team is considered ties to
No,
Miami.
that's not
But I do kind of understand that point.
I get what you're
I think Jasmine actually talked about this. I was like, enough of that. Mario's enough. You got the head coach there. Let's get some outside.
I don't want anybody with Miami ties. The only one I liked is James Coley to come back because of his recruiting prowess, and he's very well liked in this. In South Florida.
The one thing
I think kick ass here. So
the one thing I would say on T. Martin is I'm wondering if he just wants to go the pro route now because
he's been a wide receiver coach for a while now in the pro.
Well, no, right? he was at Tennessee recently. He got screwed
like 3 years ago.
Yeah. No, he was under Pruitt, right? I have to look at. This is why we should have show notes, but
he might believe he was, yeah.
But I think he got let go with the rest of them because Pruitt was paying players under the table and stuff. And that was at USC.
Yeah, he got a raw deal there.
And at USC he got scapegoated when Helton was firing everyone to save his own job. So he might just be like, you know what, F this. I'm gonna.
Yeah.
That's true.
So I'm curious if he even wants to go back to college at this point.
I will say with Martin, he does have a decent track record at developing receivers. Nelson Aguilar, Robert Woods, Randall Cobb are just some of the names, and those aren't the most flashy names. I get that, but there is a track record there, and
those are pretty damn good names.
I was just thinking Nelson Aguilar letting balls go through his hands as a Patriots fan.
Of course,
you're right. But no, I think when we're talking about how we want to get more out of the wide receiver room, Martin could also be an intriguing option in that respect.
Good point on that.
And he also, like I said, he also knows quarterbacks. So
yep,
he does.
He's a passing game coordinator for 3 or 4 years.
He could easily come here, Blue, and be the quarterback's coach also. As
that's what I'm saying.
And the offensive coordinator. I mean, that's easy.
Not like it's a stretch.
Nope, not at all. So, how about this? This is what I want to know. Is there a guy that we haven't mentioned that could be an under the radar guy, or a guy that you guys might think could come in and be possible and be productive here, be a good offensive coordinator? We'll start with you, Vish. Any names that we haven't mentioned that you can kind of throw out there?
I mean, I think you hit most of the ones I was thinking, and some that I frankly wasn't.
Look at that! Oh, Jesus! Jesus!
Unfortunately, Arkansas just snatched him up. I'm sure we were right hot on his trail there, but Arkansas picked him up.
Oh man!
Yeah, great. I don't really see anyone else that we would really. But of course, Mario pulled Gattis out of nowhere, so doesn't mean it won't be anyone else. But I don't really see a lot of options out there. I'm looking at the NFL guys that got cut loose. None of them really moved the needle for me either.
I got one for you, Joe Brady. Yeah, but he's
I'm not feeling
he wants to stay, bro. He wants to stay.
I don't know. I watched a kid for 3 years in high school sit the bench, and then all of a sudden, next thing I know, he was freaking a genius. I don't get it, but that's all right.
What about Jake Peets? That's a name that keeps coming up.
Yeah.
How do you feel about it? He wasn't great either at LSU, right?
I think of all the names we discussed and everything is shaken down, I think Jeff Scott would be
I like him. I like that.
I really do. I just think that he would be the guy. He's good recruiter, good with people, knows like you said. Look what he did at Clemson. That's a good calling card. I mean, he just didn't have the horses that
So Blue wasn't on the show. I think it was last week or the week before. I picked him as my top choice. So we're definitely lined up here.
All right, Vish, now you got to give me another name because Blue picked Jeff Scott.
I mean, I picked him 2 weeks ago. Don't I get
okay. Well, he jumped me on that.
No, but I think we're aligned here in terms of that's the right fit. He knows the conference really well.
That.
Really smart guy, local ties, but not like local ties. So
and he's well respected. And that's the whole thing.
And he's someone that has head coach experience, but frankly flopped, so I don't think he's really looking to get back into it right now.
Right.
And I don't think he'll have that come in with that era of I'm too good for this. That definitely won't be the case there. So I think he checks all the boxes for me, and he's won a lot in this conference, which does matter.
I think it's going to prove out that you had such a great offensive coordinator at Tennessee like Golish, and now he's the head coach at USF. I think it's more the school than it is the people they're bringing in.
It is, and they're kind of aimless, but that's a whole other story.
It hasn't worked out with a few of them, right? Strong, this kid now Jeff Scott. So it's
they've been. Tim Levitt was the most successful guy they had there. So
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and they've been. I mean, they were lucky initially in that with all the fallout around the BCS, they landed in the Big East and ended up in like a power conference when they weren't really a school. And
Yeah.
they turned that into some success, but they were just unprepared for UCF to dwarf them, which is what has happened now. And they can't even, like, that's their best rival. They can't compete on even ground in recruiting.
They were number 2 at one point in the country.
Yeah, no, they had they had a run there.
Yeah.
But now
they're like 11-96 since then, but what the hell?
Yeah, and it is a lot of that is UCF, becoming the dominant. I know that I say a second choice behind the big three in the state, and USF is not considered on par with them, and that's hard when that's your rival and you're a couple hours away from them,
right?
And you're going after the same kids at the same schools, and you're just considered an afterthought. Like they have to break that cycle somehow.
DJ, who would be your pick right now for offensive coordinator?
As long as he can keep his head on straight, Scott Frost. I mean,
this pro Nebraska bias just oozing out, oozing out
because of his ability to run with the quarterback and the fact that Miami already has 2, very, very, very good offensive lineman recruits in Samson Okunlola, and I just forgot the other guy's name, but
Mauigoa.
Yep. Okunlola and Mauigoa. And, I think that...
like a law firm.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So I think as long as the pieces match up, good linemen, solid running backs, playmakers down the field, I think that would be the best fit for Miami. I don't hate any of the names mentioned, but I think Frost could bring a dynamic element to the offense. And like I said earlier, that's something that we were missing under Gattis.
I probably would have said Jeff Scott had, Vish and Blue not tag team on that.
It's too bad Manny's not here because we could just hashtag it and he would go do it.
Yeah, right. Oh man,
if we could get it trending on Twitter, he would.
This is what we're gonna do. Though. It's funny you say that because this is what we're gonna do. We are gonna put up a top 4 of what who we think is gonna be the coach. I'm gonna put up a poll on Twitter later for the fans to kind of vote on. But I was gonna say, the only reason that at first I was not going to say Seth Luttrell is because, as good and as exciting as that Mike Leach offense is, right? Like at the end of the day, that air raid offense doesn't, when you play teams like Georgia and Alabama in the playoffs, they shut that crap down. But he's also a top 30 guy in yards per rush. In rushing yards per game as well. That means he knows what he's doing with the running game. Right, so I'm kind of
uses the tight ends a lot,
and he uses. He throws the ball around, but he knows how to use the tight ends and the running backs. So if you ask me, I'm probably leaning towards Seth Luttrell with a guy like maybe like
Danny Mullen.
Yeah, Dan Mullen. Yeah. It's tough to go against him, but I'll say Seth Luttrell. So we'll post up a poll now on Twitter tonight to see
they'll get a put in as the 4th one since Vish and I have one. So
Jeff,
you got Frost, Luttrell, and Jeff. Then who else?
Jeff Scott, Luttrell, Frost, and I guess I'll throw in Dan Mullen in there. Dan Mullen. I like Kevin Johns also. I'm intrigued by Kevin Johns because
I think he gets gobbled up by Alabama.
I think he does too. Yeah. I think he does too. But I'll go with Danny Mullen for sure.
And I'm intrigued by Martin's, past work with the wide receivers because I do think we need to get more. But I don't know if
I don't think he wants to be a college.
No, anymore. I don't think so either. But that part of it is intriguing.
Yeah. So
if the Dolphins would get him, then he'd be at home. But
yeah, no kidding. We'll keep the pro guys out of it. How about that?
Yeah. The one thing I will say that last year showed is you saw us run perhaps the worst offense we've ever seen, and you saw teams in the playoffs running the same style, but doing it competently, and you can see the night and day. We focus so much on the style of what we're running,
right?
The execution, the timing of the play calling, and the putting together the game plan is what makes the offense good. It's not the style.
Good point.
We ran the same style as the teams in the playoffs. And we didn't even break 100 yards in one of the games. We didn't score a touchdown in 3 out of a quarter of the games. We did not score a touchdown. And then you watch the playoff teams, and Georgia's putting up 58 against TCU in the championship game, running the same stuff. It's because they scheme better, they execute better, they're in sync with the quarterback. All of that is better, and the same style works. So I would just suggest overall less focus on style, more on the substance of who's doing the play calling, because I think it's pretty safe to say, and you saw us manifest probably most acutely inside the red zone, just inability to time the play calls right, when to call what, and it repeat. I mean, he's now transferred, but Blue every week coming out and being like, if you have Fat Franklin inside the 5-yard, just give him the ball. He's heavy. You can't tackle him.
They never did.
They never did. They would use him out at the 50 though, but when it got down to the 5-yard line, like, nah, let's put the scat back in.
Where did he end up at? Where did the Fat
I think
end
he's
up
at
at?
Rutgers.
No, he went to he went to Louisiana Monroe.
Oh, okay.
Oh, did he?
He did. Yeah, Louisiana Monroe.
He was looking at Rutgers.
Oh, boy, he's gonna run over those Sunbelt kids.
He's gonna go for 1,500 yards.
Oh man, he's gonna break some of those kids.
It depends how they use him.
That's true. We'll see. Anyways, great show today, guys. I think we narrowed down the list.
Did we? Did we narrow? That's a narrow list.
Of course we did.
That's
We
a
had
narrow
11
list.
guys. I didn't even name like Jason Candle because he's already under contract and stuff like that. But I mean, you never know. And I didn't even name Cliff Kingsbury, who's still tanning
still
over
in
in
Thailand?
Thailand. I don't know. But
I would say in Thailand, take all that money and just enjoy myself.
so would I, man. I'm the who am I kidding?
I mean, the dude already won the lottery. You get fired from a college job and
yeah.
immediately get an NFL job.
Yep.
And
Yeah,
then
they're
you get
too-
fired and you
Will
get a
be hanging
buyout.
out with each other somewhere.
David, this is a good question. We'll end on this
Yeah,
question.
yeah.
When do you think we'll know who the OC will be? Honestly speaking, you never know with Coach Mario. But look, we've got spring football is upon us now in the next 5 weeks. Okay, so
The 4th of February, March.
Of March, right? March 4th is when it starts, and then you have the spring game on the 14th at Drive Pink or down.
They haven't said
north.
the venue yet. Actually, they haven't.
They did.
Oh, they did too?
Yeah, at Drive Pink Stadium. Yeah, it's at Drive Pink Stadium on Friday the 14th.
I was there last year, boy. The parking was horrible.
Well, I didn't end up going because I think I went out.
That's right. I talked to you. I was sitting. Yeah, I had a. Jeez, I might as well stayed home and walked.
The parking is terrible in that place. It's absolutely
awful.
terrible. But yeah, I expect that we'll know within the next week or so. I think. Could I be honest with you guys? This is just me. I'm not. This is no insider information or none of that crap. I think it's already been set. They've kind of crossed their I's and dotted their T's. Crossed their I's and dotted their T's. I said. You guys did you guys catch that?
We're just listening to what the hell you're saying.
That needs to go on the next reel, okay? Dotted their I's and crossed their T's, but I think that there's already an offensive coordinator in place.
So who is it?
No, I don't know, but I think that there's already someone.
Your insider people didn't tell you that?
I have no information, man. I have no information, but I think it's already been done. It might be one of the guys that are on here. I'm not sure, but I think it's already been done. It's just a matter of releasing it out there. Because look, you got 5 weeks until spring football. You got to put that playbook in place. So I think that we'll know sooner rather than later, probably within the next week or so, I would say. So we'll see. Blue, you might know. You got the inside track, right?
Yeah, I mean, no one's saying anything.
No one
did talk to Frank for about a half hour last week, though.
Yeah.
I think if Frank had to do it all over again, he would have stayed at App State. But he's back there now, and I think that's a good thing.
That's pretty obvious. If you go back after a year, you realize you made a mistake there. So.
Yeah, well, he was one of our best guests too.
Yeah, he was great.
From the car.
Listen, I don't mind getting him back on the show again. I wouldn't mind.
I want to get Charlie Strong on. I'm going to try to get him on.
Yeah, Blue, let's do it.
Charlie's good. Charlie's good to talk to. We could even get Stephen Fields and talk about all the tight ends.
Oh, I love Stephen Fields. I love that guy, man. And I tell you guys that I met him once at the FA 79, the FA place down here in by Dayland Mall, and he was sitting right next to me, and I'm like, and I tell Sheen, I go, that's a tight ends coach from Miami. She's like, who? I'm like, that big dude right there. And everybody went up to him, you're coach, hey coach, and I didn't talk to him, right? Because I leave guys alone. But then at that point, when everybody's like, hey coach, you're like, what's up, coach? Yeah. He's like, what's up, my brother? He got up from his chair, came over to our table, talk to me like he's a nice
Yeah, good guy.
I love
Good
him.
guy.
I love him. Great dude.
Yeah,
And then
maybe we'll work on that before spring starts.
let's do it. Oh man. Anyway, Marcus Harayo, who's that, Mr. Overdose?
Look, man. We will take any kind of spelling
we'll
error.
take him though. If he can put up 40 points a game, we'll take.
I will
Marcus
say,
Harayo.
in Miami, spelling Arroyo that way is pretty egregious.
Yeah,
It is.
you already
What the hell
won.
are you doing?
like we can misspell whatever we want. It's a friendly show, but that one went a little bit.
Well, I'll tell you what, you replace that last O with an N and it doesn't look too bad, huh? Heroin.
Hey.
All right, now that is Miami. Actually,
that would be very Miami.
That would fit more with our keeping with.
Oh man, I love everybody throwing Mullins as the alpha dog. Yeah, he is. We mentioned that. He would be the prized possession in something.
The funny thing is, Blue mentioned Ponce. If he never came here last year, he'd be definitely a name we're throwing around. Mario knows we've worked with him at FIU. He's been an offensive coordinator for a while at App State successfully. We would be.
Yep.
Yeah, he'd be probably much more in line for the heck. I'm assuming he knew he was not a candidate before he went back to App State for the OC job.
And plus, his wife is up there, and I kind of yell at him about that. I said, "Man, this is the years you need to be with your wife," So I don't think he moves App State unless he gets a coordinator. What are you laughing?
In the chat right now. you said it's autocorrect, and then you spelled something. What the hell is that? And then,
Marcus Hemorrhoid.
Marcus Hemorrhoid.
Marcus Hemorrhoid.
I think we just fired Marcus Hemorrhoid. Actually, jeez.
This is great.
Serguis.
Sorry.
I think it was sorry, guys. I think I'm driving. That was my mic. If with the spell check something. I hear I don't know what he was going for there, but
how do you get sorry guys from Sarguise?
I mean, that's got to be what it is, right? Sorry, guys, right? That's what he was saying.
Yeah, that's probably what he's saying. That's what.
Maybe.
Yeah, sorry, guys.
Sorry, guys. Oh, the chat. We love you guys, man. You guys are the best. We appreciate it. Oh man, but I think we're gonna get out of here because
I mean, once we start talking about Marcus Hemorrhoids, it is probably about that time.
Tap, I love you, brother. Marcus Hemorrhoids, unbelievable.
If we want to bring him in, we might as well kept Gattis.
I think I want to bring Tap on the show one day. How about that? I'm gonna bring Tap on the show. Everybody knows Fernando. All right, man. Thanks for everybody joining us on the show today, and we'll be back next Wednesday. Oh,
next week is National. Yeah.
No, National Signing Day is this Wednesday.
That's right.
2 days. We're probably not going to get much information. I mean, there's not going to be much going on, but maybe there's a guy or two that could fall on our laps. I know we've got a couple preferred walk-ons that are some big-time guys, like this Ryan Lassiter kid, a linebacker, big kid, 6'3", 220 already. Another kid, what's his name? Braylon something. Another wide receiver. We just got another wide receiver today, Stapleton or something like that. So
Stapleton from Cardinal Gibbons.
Yeah, Stapleton.
Former quarterback.
I mean, he's a big kid too, right? Like 6'2",
yeah, he can run too.
So, some of these guys could develop and be great. I mean, look at Lad McConkey. Okay, guys.
Yeah, you know what? I was going to say him before. We don't get Bauer and Lad McConkey on our team.
I know, right? No kidding, man.
Bauer could be a first-minute pick.
Yeah, he'll be the first guy picked. Jeez,
what a beast!
Happy birthday to Tap, as his birthday's on National Signing Day. Nice. And
used to be like the biggest recruiting day of the year, and now it's like, yeah, whatever.
I know, now it's like
I'm telling you.
I think Blue, everybody. I think that they're trying to change that too, to kind of get some more. They're trying to change the early signing day again and move things around, which I think is a good idea.
You can't do it too far back because the kids want to leave and go to the enroll early. That's unless they have an early enrolling signing day. I don't know. Who knows? I'm way
honestly
out
just
of
keep
now.
it the way it is. I mean, I don't know.
Who knows?
The worst thing is that it's right before Christmas and right after the state championships, and it's right during the start of bowl season. So you really take a lot of that stuff away.
That's true.
Well, it's not as bad as baseball where they're just getting drafted in the middle of the postseason.
Yeah.
Hey, you just got drafted. You're playing in the regional.
Baseball will be fun because we're going to cover a really good baseball team, I think, this year. So keep it locked for that. We'll see you guys next Monday, same time, 8:30 p.m. here on the 5 Reasons Sports. Make sure you subscribe.
Okay, wait, before you end real quick. Next week, this show kicks off. Do we have an offensive coordinator? Yes, no?
Yes.
Yep.
I like it, Blue.
All right,
Yeah.
we go consensus then. Four
It's-
for
and it-
4 on yes.
It's one of the guys that we mentioned. I like it.
Ooh.
or not.
Just go with Kyle Shanahan.
Yeah, right.
Maybe just waiting for Eric Bieniemy to finish, coaching.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Let's
yeah.
just
Since
get
for some
Eric
reason,
Bieniemy.
no one in the NFL will hire him as a head coach. So
Yeah,
maybe
let's
he's
just
gonna,
get him. Sure,
he's
why
got
not?
to go be a college OC now.
We almost got Kellen Moore for you, Vish.
Thank God. I could after the euphoria of seeing him go to what if he had come here, I would have been like, oh,
That
no.
would have been, yeah,
Oh man,
might have converted.
there were years where I was willing to sacrifice, like when Al Golden in the middle of that, I was like, if the Cowboys, I'll sacrifice the Cowboys for the Hurricanes. Like, please go hire him.
They'll do it.
Because the Cowboys were looking for a coach. I was like, you know what? If you hire him, like I'll allow the Cowboys to be awful to get this dude off my campus.
Oh, screw the Cowboys. We'll see you guys Monday. Adios.
The 6 Rig Kane Show. Yeah. The 6 Rig Kane Show. Yeah. The 6 Rings Kane Show. You know.